We never learn Mr. Bernstein's first name. He likewise avoids informalities with his boss, referring to him only as
Mr. Kane?
never Charles or Charlie like the others.
Bernstein is my general manager, Mr. Carter. How do you do, Mr.
This does not, however, imply any lack of affection. Bernstein manages Kane's business,
Yes, Mr. Bernstein.
Mr. Carter.
Kane!
and even after his death,
Take the Spanish-American War.
evangelizes for the mogul's reputation as a bold, energetic, positive force in the early modernization of America.
But do you think if it hadn't been for that war of Mr. Kane's, we'd have the Panama Canal?
Long after the surrounding world has ceased to believe in the myth of the great man as a good man.
I've got to make the New York Enquirer as important to New York as the gas in that light.
To Bernstein, the myth is memory, lit warmly by a gas flame and housed almost entirely in the bustling newspaper office of the New York Enquirer. A Jewish man in an otherwise waspy milieu, Bernstein cherishes Kane's chutzpah, which comes to the forefront in a section that owes more to the fast-paced newsroom comedy than any other film genre. The fact that Bernstein's flashback even has an identifiably consistent genre and tone marks it as quite different than the preceding Thatcher recollections. Focused on the decades in which Kane turns the Enquirer into a media juggernaut, and while his full attention is still concentrated on that singular enterprise,
It'll make you all happy to learn that our circulation this morning was the greatest in New York, 684,000.
684,132!
Right.
Bernstein provides a tighter, more focused, more sustained vision of Kane
Can't accept it.
Oh.
than the sprawling but brief whirlwind with which Thatcher takes us from the child to the old man in the space of a few scenes. With Bernstein, for the first time, the movie settles into something like a more conventional storytelling pace, with which our understanding of Kane, the actual person, begins to cohere.
What is his name?
Or so it seems. If Kane was less present than the narrator in Thatcher's flashbacks, the same is not true here. Only once does Bernstein spend any time talking about Kane
I got a cable from Mr. Kane!
without him being in the room. And even then, Kane is able to interject via telegram.
World's biggest diamond. I didn't know Charlie was collecting diamonds.
He ain't. He's collecting somebody that's collecting diamonds.
Welcome to the Enquirer, Mr. Kane.
Indeed, Kane, and especially Jedediah Leland, Kane and Bernstein's friend, have more screen time than Bernstein himself does in his own flashback.
Dramatic critic. I hope I haven't made a mistake, Jedediah. It is a dramatic critic you want to be, isn't it?
The beginning of a trend that will reach its apex with Leland, narrators recalling moments they were not in fact present for. Nonetheless, here and elsewhere, the storyteller's gaze infects everything we see and hear, even if they don't.
You may resume your duties, gentlemen.
The whole section feels of a piece, not only in its aforementioned stylistic and chronological focus, but also its impression of Kane himself. Bernstein hero worships his boss, at least the boss as he appeared to him in their youth.
Now it's decoration principles.
You don't want to make any promises, Mr. Kane, you don't want to keep.
These will be kept.
Before he's through, she'll be a president's wife.
Where he conveniently leaves off his narrative. While Thatcher provides a foil for Kane,
Maybe somebody without any money or property.
creating flashback coiled around a sense of tension,
Yes.
Bernstein is clearly an ally.
If you thought I'd answer you any different from what Mr. Kane tells you, well, I
All
wouldn't.
right, all right.
The only foil in this section is Carter, the flustered editor who is easily disposed of.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carter, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
As Kane and his cheerful gang meet success after success,
Well, tonight, 6 years later, I got my candy. All of it.
the story, which has leaned heavily on mystery until now, begins to rely on exuberance rather than conflict to push itself forward. However, a new potential source of antagonism is teased at the peak of this accomplishment.
Isn't it wonderful?
Articulated by the skeptical Leland,
What's the matter?
but located elsewhere within Kane himself.
We stand for the same things the Chronicle stands for, Bernstein.
This is not an aspect which Bernstein feels equipped or inclined to explore.
He'll have them changed to his kind of newspaper men in a week.
There's always a chance, of course, that they'll change Mr. Kane without his knowing it.
Bernstein's wistful romanticism lends itself to celebrating an ideal moment of engagement which cannot be sustained,
The way things turned out, I don't need to tell you.
and possibility which cannot be realized.
One day back in 1896, I was crossing over to Jersey on the ferry. And as we pulled out, there was another ferry pulling in. And on it, there was a girl waiting to get off. A white dress she had on. And she was carrying a white parasol. And I only saw her for 1 second. She didn't see me at all. But I'll bet a month hasn't gone by since that I haven't thought of that girl.
He is the perfect bridge between, on the one side, incomprehension, which characterizes in various ways the deathbed, newsreel, and Thatcher sequences, and on the other side, crisis, which will envelop the next few sections of the film.
This rosebud you're trying to find out about.
Bernstein delivers
Yes?
us to the gates of Citizen Kane's central turmoil, but is unable to take any further steps with us.
Maybe that was something he lost. Mr. Kane was a man who lost almost everything he had.
Hints are planted here of what is to come.
Sure. Like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And my first report card at school.
Including our extended exposure to Leland, doubtful but not yet cynical,
That's the second sentence you've started with I.
People are going to know who's responsible.
Mr. Leland! Mr. Bernstein!
and a reference to the off-screen fiancée Emily.
Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Monroe Norton announced the engagement of their daughter Emily Monroe Norton to Mr. Charles Foster Kane.
An ideal so gauzy and easily deflated that she can't even be seen, lest Bernstein's daydream collapse.
She's the niece of the President of the United States.
Miss Emily Norton was no rosebud.
Indeed, as a sequence in a later flashback will reveal, her probably anti-Semitic hostility to Bernstein marks the Kane marriage as an end
Mr. Bernstein is apt to pay a visit to the nursery now and then.
Does he have to?
to the era Bernstein is celebrating.
Yes.
Unlike Thatcher, who never shows up in the film again after his own sequence, Bernstein goes on to be a recurring participant in Leland's flashback,
Is there anything...
No thanks, Mr. Bernstein.
which follows his own,
I guess that'll show you.
and a much more fleeting presence in the subsequent Susan flashback, fading from the larger film without much notice, as others carry on Kane's story. What we do see of him, through those other eyes, cuts a sadder, more weary figure
Oh, Bernstein.
than not only the young Bernstein,
You're getting paid, mister, for opinions or for hauling?
but even the elderly Bernstein, who's so eager to spin his yarns.
I'm chairman of the board. I got nothing but time. What do you want to know?
Night, Mr. Kane.
Middle age spawns only disappointment for one who saw the world so cheerfully early on.
After all, you were with him from the beginning.
But before the beginning, young fellow.
At least Bernstein's final years can compensate
After the end.
by allowing him to return to the memories of how it once was, or so he would like to believe. His final line from the present-day interview conveys not only a melancholy sense of mortality, but a zest for life.
Old age. It's the only disease, Mr. Thompson, that you don't look forward to being cured of.
Leland, on the other hand, very much looks forward to being cured of this disease.
I can remember absolutely everything, young man. That's my curse. That's one of the greatest curses ever inflicted on the human race, memory. I was his oldest friend, and as far as I was concerned, he behaved like a swine.